why don't we just introduce ourselves, okay? My name is Alphonsus. Everything that you see in this video is at my place. So I am hosting this video, and you are?
I'm Anthony, and I'm studying at NTU.
Okay, so the purpose of this video, right, is to have more voices talking about LGBT stuff in Singapore. I personally feel that there is a lot being said in the news, in the newspapers, in Straits Times, and there are a lot of articles floating around. And at the same time, sometimes when you read something that's written, you don't get the feeling popping out at you. So if you can hear it live, then it will be even more compelling and convincing. So maybe it would be helpful to hear stories from real life people, real life stories, and have them appear in front of you in video. So that's why I feel that I wanted to do these videos, or this video in particular. Why do you agree to appear in the video?
Okay, for me, I think I've been sharing all my personal stories online a lot on Facebook, and I think a lot of my friends are aware of my story, but I think that I can share more of these stories online through video, and I think more people can be aware of what's happening to us, what's happening to the LGBT people around us. Because a lot of times we read these kind of stories, but we cannot connect because people don't share their stories because of fear of rejection, discrimination, whatsoever. So when you actually have a face to put to that stories that you hear online, you actually feel, it's more, there's a personal touch to it, and you might be able to relate more to it actually. Yeah, so I was thinking about that.
Okay, yeah, great. So, which probably brings us to what we want to talk about today, which is about bullying, and in particular, gay bullying. So, what are your thoughts about, bullying? Maybe start off with bullying in general. Do you think that is this something that happens a lot? In being in university now, do you feel that it happens in university at undergraduate level?
I think it happens, but maybe because I'm from psychology, so people are more aware of this kind of issues, so they don't really talk about it. But previously I was from NUS engineering, and terms like very kunyang, very purple, purple being the international gay color or something. So they use terms like this, which is very degrading, and they might not mean it in a very offensive sense, but still imagine if you are gay and then you hear this kind of terms, it still doesn't come out as being friendly. So I still think that at some level, people still do have this kind of bullying going on, whether they are conscious or not conscious about it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. And for me, I work in social service, and sometimes I hear in the past when I went to schools to run projects or to run workshops, I would hear some students, and especially in all boys schools, where they would toss around very derogatory terms, like for example, "Oh, don't do this, it's very gay," or "You're being very gay," and they use that term in a very derogatory manner. I don't know whether you've had experience with that. And being an adult in that kind of situation, it's very sad to see it happening, and in some sense, I feel also very powerless or helpless because I'm not the teacher. I'm not from that school, so it's not really in my place to say anything in that sense. So yeah, I mean, I've also experienced vicariously the effects of bullying, and people may see it as a joke. The students, I suppose, when they say it, they mean it as a joke. It is also very damaging, lah. What are some of your thoughts about gay bullying, or have you experienced it before yourself?
Yeah, I experienced it throughout primary school, secondary school, junior college. To the point, even in army, I mean, it's common in army especially. In primary school, because I think the moment you deviate a little from the norm, if your actions are a bit more effeminate, or if you don't really feel very confident, you feel a bit shy, people start tossing terms like, "Hey, you're very sissy, you're very gay, you're very, you should be more man about it." So that was pretty much what happens in primary school. I was pretty much every now and then people will start calling me, "Hey, you're very gay, can you be a bit more man about it?" Or so these terms were tossed by
you don't come across as very effeminate at all.
I don't know. I'm guessing that to some extent, probably all those years of bullying have probably shaped a bit of my behavior somewhat. So I decided to maybe, I don't think I'm that man either lah, but I mean, people probably, I mean, after that, those incidents, I probably decided that I can't really be that effeminate also because I grew up in like a very feminine environment.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And what was when people make these comments to you? Don't be so gay. Don't be so. What did it do to you? I mean, like.
okay, it did damage a lot of my self-esteem. It caused me a lot of doubts. Like for instance, I really did. I mean, back then I was only like what 6, 7. I wouldn't have known what gay means. I mean, I don't even think I was even possibly sexually attracted to anybody at that point in time. So, but then the thing is, like, I start questioning myself, like, am I normal? Am I like supposedly same as everybody, or am I like created as a joke? So these doubts that keep coming to my head were like, what if like I'm created as a joke? I'm supposed to be like lesser than people because all these terms that keep coming at me makes me feel like I'm not as good as they are. So it happens a lot, and over time you really doubt yourself because they always say you're very gay. I don't really dare to do things like, for example, in PE, I don't really dare to run because they'll make fun of the way I run. I don't really dare to do too well in school because they'll be like, oh, because you are gay, therefore you're very good at studying or something. They can come up with literally anything you can do. They can literally come up with like every single statement to bully you about it. Yeah, and that happens a lot.
Okay, so that's the example of gay. I mean, your experience of gay bullying in school,
Yeah.
because they use the terms gay, and then they also associated you with being effeminate or.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
And I think maybe my own experience of being bullied isn't so much of being bullied. It's more of like the people who, when I was in school, people also use these terms in a derogatory way. And the effect of that is that, you start to think these are negative, these are negative things that you don't want to be associated with.
Yeah.
And therefore you disassociate yourself from those terms. And the part of you that is that you do identify with being gay, it tends to be hidden, or you have to repress it, or you have to hide it somewhere, and you can't express yourself in a way that makes sense to you. And then you kind of just grow up with this sense that there's something that is wrong if this part of me, and I have to hide this part of myself.
Yes.
So it may not be a very overt kind of bully. Okay, my experience is not an overt thing like yours. At the same time, it is a very very subtle. I have to hide. I cannot let anyone know. It's shameful. If people know about this, they will make fun of me. They'll think badly of me. I cannot let people know about this particular part. And even now, that it also runs through it to some extent now, because when it comes to, say, jobs, there's always this fear that if you want to have a job in the government, you cannot come out. If you want a job in the Ministry of Education as a teacher, you cannot identify yourself as someone who's gay. And that in itself is, in my opinion, they may say, the government may say there's no discrimination in Singapore, but that in itself is discrimination. I don't know if you agree with that.
I do feel that. I mean, okay, let's say we are talking about, for instance, army. Army, it's very obvious that like it's really discriminating against the gay people. Like, why do I say that? Because okay, I got depression in the army. So what happened was I have this like I have developed a phobia towards like Pulau Tekong. So what happened was one incident, they actually threatened to send me back to Tekong, and I had no choice but to declare that I was gay. Upon realizing that, they said that the moment you declare gay, you cannot get married for 10 years.
Cannot get married for 10 years?
Yeah, but it's like I'm gay. There's no way I can get married in 10 years anyway. So that didn't really matter to me. And the other thing was immediately you have this status where you're excused stay out. Excused stay in.
Excused stay in.
Yeah, like
okay.
They have this idea that at night, like gay people turn into these perverted werewolves or something that go around raping everybody. I mean, that was the kind of idea I got when they told me about it. I was like, huh? Okay, I mean, if that's something. And of course, we had the term 302 labeled to us. And unfortunately, people will gradually got to know about it. Like, I mean, the clubs handling my issue eventually also will be aware that, this person is being sent out for like some obvious reasons. And relatively quite openly gay army mate inside army, and he was so bullied a lot. He was like, hey, the gay boy, come over, and you like, stop touching the guy, and it was all these like very, very little casual remarks that I feel that it adds up a lot.
What I mean, you say it adds up a lot. What impact does it have on you? I mean, how did it affect you?
What's
the consequence? What's the outcome of that? Of what people say to you?
I was really afraid to like remotely be myself in front of others. Like I don't dare to talk normally. I don't dare to like share my personal feelings. Like I'm
So you
not
become more
comfortable.
withdrawn, you don't really
Exactly.
share, you don't really
Yeah.
want to. Okay, yeah, and then these are all very hallmark symptoms of people who have undergone certain trauma or
Yeah.
certain stress. Yeah, okay. Okay, hang on, Choto Mati. You all have anything to comment or add or want to say or? So we had a comment from some of the people who are helping us with the video about the terms that were being thrown around
Yeah.
in certain instances, like when you're in NS. So you have terms other than the term gay, being gay, you also have the term bapo, aqua, chow aqua. Have you had experience of instances where you've heard of people who were called these names or you were called these names yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I've been called aqua quite a few times in primary school, and I think the term "cha aqua" has been thrown a lot in army. Yeah, and the tone of it is always very, very. I feel that it's very offensive. Like you don't say, "Oh, this guy's a "cha aqua," you know. You don't say in a very gentle tone. It's always like, "Hey, "cha aqua." It has a very fierce and I think it's like it's meant to hurt people, and it always does because when it comes to this kind of terms, what does that say about the person who's being said to, like the victim of all these kind of things, like
Yeah,
chakwa bapo?
yeah.
Yeah.
What about what okay, so how do we eliminate, okay, so we've established that this type of throwing around these terms, being bullied in school, being, you know, having these things, being called names, these have a very detrimental kind of psychological impact on a person. So how do we go about rectifying this? How do we go about addressing this? What are some of your thoughts about wanting to address this?
I think the first step is creating the sense of awareness, like letting people be aware of like
Okay.
what is going on, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are thinking like, really, they are bullying in schools, there are people being bullied because they are
I
gay.
think being bullied as a in the general sense, it's something that's very endemic. There's no such. I mean, like there'll always be situations where there will be bullying in all schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there are always people who are like very oblivious to it. They're like, really? Are you sure they're being bullied, or are you sure they're being that mean to you? Because I have like given feedback to my mom, like I'm being bullied a lot in school, but she's like, really? Are you sure? And even right now, I think if you read online, people are saying comments like, are you sure gay people are being discriminated against? Are you sure gay people are like being bullied? Or,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think they are, because, you know, they are like trying to talk about it. Which I feel that it's not true. Gay people are being discriminated, like you said. Like if we declare ourselves, our status in the army, to the government, the chances of us being like being employed for our jobs is going to be much
There's a lot of
less.
fear lah. In that
exactly.
sense, yeah, and because fear is also in some ways synonymous with blame and shame, right?
Yeah.
So if you're afraid of something, people know that you're afraid of it. They will take advantage of that by blaming you for that particular instance.
Yes.
And when they do blame, that shame comes about also, where, you know, I'm not good enough, or I'm you know, this is something that's not acceptable. You know, that sense comes about. Yeah. So how do we go about addressing this? Raising awareness, you know, doing a video like this, getting people to know more about this particular issue. That's one way of addressing the issue. Raising people's awareness. What else can be done to address the issue? I personally feel that the adults in let's just restrict our conversation to the setting in the school. I think adults in the school need to come to a common agreement that they will eliminate or do not tolerate bullying of any kind. The adults, in the sense, they set the tone for the students in the school. Like you can't expect the students to be able to band together and then say, oh, we want to stop bullying. They will have no inkling of how to do that. The adults need to do it first. And adults need to also understand like the impact of how they, the impact of what they say to the young person. Because where you can say something and it can have a negative impact on them, you can say something, it can have a positive impact on them. So whatever that you say, when it has a negative impact, there's also the idea that may be in some way shaming or blaming of them. So if you allow yourself to blame and shame someone for any reason, that also gives rise to bullying. Okay, I know I'm doing this this wide big jump in logic, because I'm saying that if you blame someone, right, then that in essence that leads to bullying. Okay. At the same time, like what I said, fear, shame, blame, shame, they're all interlinked. So in some way, the blame does bring about that sense of shame, and with that shame, that also brings about that sense of bullying, right? And furthermore, topics that they feel that where the general tone is that is acceptable to shame in this particular area, such as when someone exhibits like a guy exhibiting effeminate behavior, then it's okay to shame that person. So the adults need to get together and agree that they have to stop bullying completely first.
Yeah.
What do you think about that idea?
I do agree in the sense that also because they have to be aware of like what's their personal beliefs. They can't let their personal beliefs like shape all this bullying. Like, because for instance, if a teacher doesn't agree like with effeminate behavior, she needs to be aware that that's her personal belief. That is not like a justification for, oh, it's okay for students to bully because that's my personal belief. I think teachers need to be very aware of that, like what's my personal belief and what is good for that student. And they have to be aware that, okay, just because, let's say, I'm against gay people for whatever reason, whether it's religious or personal beliefs, they need to be aware that if gay students are being bullied, they still have to step in. Because that's your personal belief. It's still, whatever bullying is still going to affect your student. So you have to draw the very clear line that you have to be clear what's your personal belief and what is best for your student, and that you should just not agree to bullying at all.
Yeah. And maybe, because like I've been in a setting where they will organize workshops for students. This is what bullying is about, and this is how you have three different groups of people. You have the bullying, you have the victims, then you have the bystanders, and you help the bystanders to be able to voice out and help the victims. I personally feel that the students should they need to be aware of all this, but I think the main intended audience that need to go through this workshop are the teachers, because the adults in the school need to be the ones that stand up. They are in essence the bystanders, and they need to stand up and say, we will not accept this, and they have to put the foot down and stop this from happening in schools. And the schools, the administration, the people in authority in the schools, they need to support this as well. I feel this is the first step of wanting to be able to address bullying. And the ripple down effect where you have so like the teacher, then you have the vice principal, the principal, then beyond that the administration, beyond that the administrators in the Ministry of Education, the government, they also need to be able to back this and support this and say we will not tolerate bullying, we will not tolerate discrimination. That is a different topic which I feel is hard to come by, because there is discrimination in culture and in the society in general. Yeah. Comments? Do you agree with what I say, or is there a big leap for you?
No, I do get like where your train of thought is going, and I do agree with it in the sense that it has to start with the teachers in school, because they are going to be technically the first front line of defense. I mean, although we can talk about like friends, but if they're not empowered by the teachers to do so, even the friends, the peers, sometimes they can't really do anything much as well. And then beyond that, the principal, the vice principal has to create this environment where teachers can stop the bullying, rather than like because of whatever reason, and then gradually beyond that, of course, we go on to the more administrative side of things.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all have anything to add? Okay, again, comment from our friends in the background. They're saying, about people who are bullied, the victims, they also need to be equipped with certain skills of how to be able to be assertive, come back to not to fight back, but to at least to stand firm and say that they will not tolerate or they will not accept being bullied. And I think with that also, how do we help them to understand that there's nothing wrong with them? There's nothing wrong with this particular, because the idea is that if there's something to be shamed about, that shame part, that blame part, there's something wrong with them intrinsically, and how we can help them to understand that there is nothing wrong with this. So a lot of the idea that being gay is wrong, the idea that being gay is not acceptable, Can we address that? Can it be somehow neutral? Maybe at this point of time you don't know, you're still exploring, give that space for the student or the young person to explore in that sense. And if they do come to the conclusion that, at age 16 I know I'm gay, can we also have that allowance for them to say, yeah, okay, it's fine, you are gay, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that you are also valued for as well. Yeah.
And I think for the victims of bullying, I think it's important for you to realize that whatever the bully says about you is not about you, even though it can be really hurtful, it can be very damaging to your self-esteem. But it's really not about you. It speaks more about what the bully is thinking, so please don't let that affect your own self-confidence. Don't go into a spiral of self-doubt and eventually think that, oh, you're not worthy because you're being bullied. That's not true. You have to be aware that whatever the bully is saying, it reflects more about him, not you, because that's just what he's saying. And you have to be aware that you have to be, you should be empowered to stand up for yourself. You need to be aware that you are still a worthy person of living, and you should never be subjected to this kind of bullying and treatment and whatever the bullies say about you lah.
You had experienced it yourself when you were in school, right?
Yeah.
So how did you come to the point where you can say, I am, I have to stand up against this? What was that process like for you?
It was a very tedious process. Like in primary school, I tried giving feedback to my parents, but apparently they did nothing about it because they didn't think that it was possible.
Yeah.
So in secondary school, I tried turning to the teachers, but my teacher was like, if I step in, the bullying might get worse. So I don't really want to do anything. I don't really want to do anything.
So the teacher felt powerless about it also?
Yeah, the teacher was really powerless about it.
Right.
And even my form teacher was aware, but she didn't really want to do anything either.
Okay.
So in JC, I guess people became a bit more mature, but there were still things being thrown about. So eventually in uni, I decided okay, what the heck? I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to be very confident about it. Okay, if people start telling me that, oh, you are gay, then I'll be like, what's new? Tell me something that I don't already know. I mean, whatever you're going to tell me, okay, I'm gay, yeah, so I know. There's nothing that you can possibly tell me that I don't already know or people haven't told me about. If you're going to tell me, oh, you faggot, you're a sissy, then I'll be like, Is that something wrong? Is that what's wrong with a person being more effeminate? What's wrong with a person being liking someone of the same sex? So does that reflect his personal belief, or does that reflect about me as a person? So to me, at that point, I realized that actually whatever the person says doesn't really matter anymore, because his words hold no power against me.
Okay.
And I guess it's all about putting value to knowing the value of the person's words. Is this person a close friend? Is this person a family member? Or is this person some random stranger that his words probably don't mean anything to you?
Okay.
Start realizing the value of the words in the people closest to you, because they are the ones that know you the best, rather than this random bully who probably doesn't know 10% of your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we've gone for 40 minutes, talking for 40 minutes already. So maybe we can, I don't think people have that much attention span to watch videos past a certain point. So let's take a break here.
Okay.
And maybe also, can I also make this invitation to people who are watching this video? If you feel that you would like to also share your opinion, you don't mind appearing in the video and talking about issues that pertain to the LGBT community in Singapore, we'd like to invite you to come on and come join our little party to talk about stuff. The idea is for us to be able to get our ideas out there, put a face to the idea, and have some kind of discussion going. Yeah. So if you feel that you would like to participate, please do comment below, or drop me a text, drop me a message, an email, and let me know. And I'll be very happy to invite you to come on and share your opinion with us. Okay, so that's the end of our first video. We'll be able to do more videos on different topics in the future. Okay, so you happy to come back and do more, share more?
This was fun.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay.